Hey guys, this summer I've been following a program called 7 Weeks to 50 Pull-Ups. Once you read through it, you realize it's actually 3 different programs, and it's only when you qualify for phase 2 that you actually build up to 50 consecutive pull-ups. Based on my initial best effort of 12 pull-ups, I started in phase 1. That's covered in another video. Long story short, it left me with a personal best of 18 pull-ups. I then took about a week off before going into phase 2. I find it easiest to talk you through the program layout with the help of a bar chart. So the 3-day-a-week structure continued from phase 1, and there were at most 5 working sets. Phase 1 included neutral grip and wide grip pull-ups, but here it was only alternating between pull-ups and chin-ups, and for the final week you only do pull-ups. The final set in weeks 5 to 7 was done to failure, and the number here only represents the target reps. I covered the accessory work in my phase 1 video, but very briefly. There was quite a standard warm-up, some resistance band activation drills, then a warm down, followed by several sets of core exercises. Rest periods for the pull-ups were anything above 90 seconds, and I was typically taking 3 to 4 minutes. So my results, full disclosure, I didn't get off to the best start. In the middle of week 3, I had a tooth infection which needed a course of antibiotics. By the time I recovered, I went back to the start of week 2 and went from there. Once I was up and running again, I got to the end of week 4 without missing a rep. The sets and reps up to this point felt really well programmed in terms of the effort I had to put in. It was nearly always challenging, but it never felt unachievable. The same can't be said for weeks 5 to 7. So what follows was a very clunky and, in my opinion, a very poorly written 3 weeks where I was expected to take my opening set from 19 pull-ups, already a personal best, up to 35 pull-ups in the space of 7 sessions, which was around 14 days. What actually happened was that I hit 22 reps on the Tuesday, I hit 24 reps on the Thursday, and then I plateaued. The next 4 opening sets were 24, 25, 20, and 25. The 20 was a failed experiment to go slow and controlled from the very beginning. In week 7, the 2nd and 4th sets were replaced by stretching and additional rest. Again, the opening sets were 25, 25, and 24. I did manage to hit the target reps in the 2nd set each time before finishing with 18, 21, and 18. I was trying my best not to compromise my technique in order to chase that higher total, but I wasn't entirely happy with my elbow extension in a lot of these sets. Even though I wasn't experiencing much acute soreness, I had this kind of cumulative fatigue building up and a sense that my body needed to rest for an extended period of time. I didn't have any joint pain, and having worn weightlifting gloves for every set, I had no problem with calluses, and that's with doing over 1,400 reps across the 7 weeks. After week 7, he recommends taking 2 or 3 days off. I ended up taking 5. Unlike phase 1, my expectations for the retest were much lower. That was reflected in my total, which for my retest was another set of 25 reps. He says in the program you can take a few days off and try again, which I did, but again, I hit exactly 25 reps. You're then supposed to repeat week 7 until your 3rd set matches your 1st, but as I'm so far off the pace, I just decided to stop there. No. 25. What is it? After the program ends, the suggested maintenance is at least 10 reps of pull-ups 2 to 3 times a week to not squander the progress you've made. He also suggests you try more difficult variations, such as 5 seconds up and 5 seconds down, mixed grip commando pull-ups, towel pull-ups, and weighted pull-ups. Overall, I feel like 7 weeks to 50 pull-ups is a very good program, potentially with the exception of those final 3 weeks, which felt very rushed, almost like they were written by someone else. I could well be biased. I'm 35, so maybe my ability to make gains has already been compromised by age. It was also not ideal to have to restart things after week 3. I thought the loss of wide grip and neutral grip pull-ups from phase 1 and eventually the loss of chin-ups from phase 2 had a negative impact overall. I feel like it's rarely the case that the best way to improve something is to only do that thing. For that reason, maybe he could have included some of the harder pull-up variations, but I can see the argument for keeping it simple. I started this program off the back of Ido Portal's 30-day hanging challenge, which took my best dead hang from 70 seconds to almost 2 minutes. Prior to that, I'd got my grip strength to 60 kilos on the dynamometer through the use of a Grip Master. If I wanted to improve further, I think I would focus next on towel pull-ups for my forearms and grip strength. If you look at the pull-up world records, the common theme there is that they have really good grip strength and endurance. So they're able to hang on the bar with one arm while shaking the other one out to recover. Whereas for me, after about a minute with two hands, I'm struggling to hold on. If you consider that my improvement from phase 1 was 12 reps to 18, an increase of 50%, then that same 50% would take me from 18 to 27, and I reached 25. I think that's a sensible way to look at it. And I also think that if I applied myself and I really wanted to, then over the next 3 to 6 months, I could hit 50 reps. In terms of what's ultimately possible, the world record for consecutive pull-ups is held by Kenta Adachi. He started around 12 pull-ups and applying himself for 15 years of training, got himself to the world record of 651. Thank you for watching.